Saleh al-Aruri in Hezbollah's stronghold in the Lebanese capital. So what will the reaction be? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Elizabeth Puranam. It's being seen as a major blow against Hamas's leadership. The assassination of its deputy chief, Saleh al-Aruri, could signal a new approach by Israel to its war on Gaza. The top commander was killed in Lebanon's capital in a drone strike, raising the risk of fighting well beyond the Strip. Israel has neither confirmed nor denied its involvement, but said the strike was not an attack against Lebanon. Nearly 3 months into Israel's war on Gaza, al-Aruri's killing will likely intensify hostilities between Israel and Hamas. So how will this affect the course of the war, and will the conflict expand beyond its existing areas? We'll explore these issues with our guests in a moment, but first, this report by Katia Lopez-Horayan.
The assassination of Hamas's second most powerful commander, Saleh al-Aruri, could be a game-changer. His killing in a drone strike on Hamas's bureau in Beirut could signal a new front stretching well beyond Israel's war on Gaza. Shortly after his death, Hamas warned it will retaliate.
It's an act of terrorism in every sense of the word. It's also a violation of Lebanese sovereignty, a violation that represents an expansion of Israel's aggression against our people and our nation. The Zionist occupation is completely responsible for any repercussions.
The Israeli government has not taken responsibility for the strike, but it says all Hamas leaders in or out of the Gaza Strip are targets following the October 7th attacks. As one of the founders of Hamas's military wing, Aruri helped build closer ties between Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. His assassination is a blow to both and widely seen as a warning to Iran and its proxies.
This is not something that is going to resolve any of the major issues here. If you get a full-out war between Hezbollah and Israel, you're going to have a lot of destruction, and both sides are eventually going to have a ceasefire.
The death of Aruri will likely complicate, if not end, ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas, along with any deals to release hostages. Israel has a long history of killing top Hamas commanders. Now the strike in the center of Hezbollah's leadership in Lebanon appears to signal a change of military strategy. Across the occupied West Bank, supporters of Aruri called for revenge, saying his death will help strengthen their resistance against Israel.
As we always say, one leader is going, more leaders is coming. So this is not the end, and if they killed one of the leaders, more leaders and more Palestinians will take the flag and will continue the fighting against this occupation.
Some analysts say the strike has shaken Hamas's leadership and embarrassed Hezbollah leaders in Lebanon. The focus now turns to whether they will retaliate against Israel and whether that could lead to a wider conflict. Katia Lopez-Horayan, Al Jazeera for Inside Story.
Let's bring in our guests. In Beirut is Maha Yahya, director of the Carnegie Middle East Center. In Tehran is Mohammad Mirandi, professor at the University of Tehran. And in Istanbul is Sami Al-Aryan, director of the Center for Islam and Global Affairs at the Istanbul Zaim University. A very warm welcome to all of you. Ms. Yahya, I'll begin with you in Beirut. How could a drone have carried out this attack in Lebanon? How could it have stayed in Lebanese airspace long enough to have done it?
It's clear that there is some sort of a security breach from the information we've gathered so far, is that it was a drone attack. It was accompanied by someone on the ground pointing to where the apartment at which Mr. Aruri was at that particular moment. At least this is the preliminary information we've gathered here. It's not that difficult, unfortunately, to breach Lebanese airspace in part because of the weakness of aerial defenses in the country. So it's not the first time, and unfortunately, I doubt it will be the last.
Okay, Mr. Marandi, how is this attack being viewed in Tehran? The killing of an ally, and not just any ally, but the man known as the go-between, two resistance groups linked to Iran, Hamas and Hezbollah.
Well, it is very significant. He was viewed in Iran as a hero for the resistance in Palestine. He's had a very difficult life as a result of the threats made by the Israeli regime. Hezbollah warned the Israeli regime about any strike, so the assumption is that there was always a fear that he would be ultimately targeted. Lebanon is, of course, a place where Israelis have infiltrated the country for many decades, and it's not very surprising that this has been carried out. But even though this was a blow, but I don't think it's going to have any impact on the way in which Iran supports the resistance, whether it's in Gaza or elsewhere. The structures that exist and the cooperation that exists between Iran and the resistance groups, and in particular Hamas, is very long-term, and there are many people involved. So it was a blow, but when we look at the genocide that's taking place in Gaza and the bigger picture, there's much else also going on, and especially with the bomb explosion that we saw in Iran today on the anniversary when General Qasem Soleimani was murdered by the Americans. Many here also believe that Israeli intelligence could have been working together with elements of ISIS to carry out the bomb attack in Iran, which killed almost 100 people.
Okay, Mr. Al-Arian, in Istanbul, we're hearing from our other guests that this isn't a surprise, and certainly the way that it was carried out, that it was able to happen, isn't a surprise either. But why do you think that Israel has not taken responsibility for it, despite stating many times that it would do precisely this, that it would target Hamas leaders wherever they are?
This is pretty normal Israeli MO operation. Israel has carried out in the past half century or so almost 3,000 assassinations. Sometimes they make assassinations. People don't even know that they have been assassinations. They think this was just a normal death, but it was a planned assassination by the highest members of the government. We gotta know that we're not dealing with a normal state here. We're dealing with a gangster, with bullies, with people who think they are beyond any law, international law or otherwise. We're talking about people who assassinate people for simply eliminating them as being threat, or as sometimes being perceived as a threat. So this is not surprising. And let's keep in mind that the Israeli government, since day one after the October 7th operation, have been threatening that they will go after many Hamas leaders. In terms of Mr. Aruri, they also said even before October 7th that he was their number one target. All
right. Mr. Yahya, how do you expect Hezbollah to respond to this? They have said that this cannot go without punishment. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has said in the past that any attempt to assassinate anyone in Lebanon would be crossing a red line.
I think Hezbollah will go about this quite carefully. Today they're a bit caught between a rock and a hard place. There is a need to respond, especially as this is the first attack in southern Beirut since 2006. There's been an equation of deterrence where, you bomb Beirut, we bomb Tel Aviv, you bomb Saida, we bomb Haifa, a kind of a city for city, a citizen for citizen equation, which frankly, since October 7th, Hezbollah has actually refrained from that, in part because they do not want to escalate matters and do not want to drag Lebanon into an all-out war. I think that consideration continues today. So I mean, we're going to listen to Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah in 2 hours. He will be speaking about this. My expectation is that he will exhibit all the anger, all the sorrow at this attack. Let's not forget, I mean, Palestinian leaders were killed, Hamas leaders were killed, but also innocent Lebanese civilians who were either passing by or lived in the same building were also killed or injured.
Yeah, you say Hezbollah is between a rock and a hard place. What about the Lebanese government? The Lebanese foreign minister has said that they have told Hezbollah to not respond, that this has to be something that comes from Lebanon itself. Just how difficult a position is the Lebanese government in now?
The Lebanese government is also it is in a difficult position, but it's also already saying that it's going to take